Hey up YouTube, what's going on? AmazingChi here, bringing you the Week 5 team builder here for Newcastle United in PPL Division number 2, Season number 4. Last week, a very brief recap, we picked up another 1-0 win, which puts us at 3-1 and +2 differential. Every battle so far has been really well fought, really good value for entertainment as well. Very good entertainment value this season so far in terms of my battles. So if you're not watching my battles yet, tell your friends, watch them. They've been very good so far. Hopefully we can carry on with this excellent entertainment value on my battles. But moving on very quickly, next, because we are +2, two of the last 3 seasons we've been in the promotion race, but we've kind of been missing out on the chance of, even the chance of promotion because of our differential. So we need to bring up our differential because we're getting into the same situation again. We are 3-1 but +2, which is not good. We have 3 wins but only +2 differential. So need to bring out a differential, and in our way of so we need to get up a big win. But this week's battle is against a very good friend in the channel. We've sort of collaborated with Shroomraver for more than a year. So yeah, Parasect Germain, coached by Shroomraver, is our opponent this week, and very good friend of the channel. So even if I lose, I won't feel too bad. I won't feel too bad if I lose because he's a very good friend to pick up the win, and frankly kind of needs the win as well, because last season he just got his arse handed to him by RNG. In Division 1, which is basically Shroom got relegated entirely because of hacks last season. And Shroom is a PPL champion as well, so completely not what was in the cards for Shroom last season, getting completely RNG'd out of the league, frankly. So Shroom aiming to get straight back in Division 1 at the first time of asking, gets hacked out immediately week 1. Can't remember if he got if he got hacked out week 2 or such. I know week 3 was a more kind of just going to lose anyways week, but last week he picked up a 6-0 win, which means Shroom is absolutely in comeback mentality right now. So Shroom is a very dangerous. He's a wounded man in terms of being relegated due to hacks. He's an ex-PPL champion, so he has the talent, and he's in combat mode. So it's going to be a very tough opponent to play in terms of just Shroom's mentality right now, because he is going to be full on attack mode right now. And his team is Newcrustle, Terrakion, Mandibuzz, Mamoswine, Zapdos, Vaporeon, Salazzle, Zangoose, Moa, and Dragonair. Yes, I rattled that off a bit quick, but you did just hear the words Newcrustle, Mandibuzz, Zapdos, and Vaporeon. Christ, that's going to be hard to break. However, even though there is a Marwa, which obviously is dual super effective against my big hitter, which is Kyron Black, I don't feel like that's coming, because I feel like he needs to bring 6 out of the 7 of Newcrustle, Terrakion, Mandibuzz, Mamoswine, Zapdos, Vaporeon, and Salazzle. I feel like he needs to rely on his sort of big budget half of his draft for this battle. I feel like he has to bring 6 of those 7. I feel like he has to bring 6 of those 7. I feel like Terrakion is a certainty. I feel like Vaporeon is a certainty, and I feel like Salazzle is a certainty because Salazzle, I feel like, is the better thing to deal with Skarmory than Zapdos is this week, because Salazzle is super effective against 3 of my other mons, whereas Zapdos is only super effective against Tentacle. Salazzle can also Toxic my Skarmory and also Toxic my Tentacle if you wanted to. So there is that option. So I feel like Terrakion, Vaporeon, and Salazzle are certainties. I feel like Mandibuzz is near certainty, like 95% sure that Mandibuzz is coming. Because I feel like that's the better defogger, especially if he doesn't bring Zapdos, then Mandibuzz. If he doesn't bring Zapdos, Mandibuzz is definitely coming, because that's his hazard removal. So yeah, if he does bring Zapdos, then I don't know where the defog is going to be. But I feel like it's still going to be on Mandibuzz, because I feel like Zapdos might have to be more offensive for the Skarmory purposes again, and might need Heat Wave. Otherwise, Delmize Walls are Zapdos that doesn't have Heat Wave. Crocodile Walls are Zapdos that doesn't have Signal Beam. So there is that. And Kyron Black kind of just takes any hit from Zapdos anyway, so if it's not offensive, I'm not sure how well offensive Zapdos deals with Kyron Black, but there is that issue. But yeah, Terrakion, Mandibuzz, Vaporeon, and Salazzle I feel like are the either certainty or near certainties. Then I think that 2 of the last 3 will be the situation. Newcrustle, Mamoswine, and Zapdos. Newcrustle, not a lot of teams have enough stuff for Newcrustle, but every team basically has something for Newcrustle. I don't feel like Newcrustle certainly isn't ban worthy, and I think I do have one of the better things for Newcrustle, which might scare it off in the form of Crocodile. But if he can get rid of Crocodile, if he can kill my Crocodile this week, then Newcrustle has fun. So if his game plan could be entirely like use Terrakion to get rid of Crocodile or whatever, and then just kill, then set up with a Necrozma and win, because that is an absolute possibility. Mamoswine, I feel like doesn't have the best. Like Mamoswine, this is probably one of Mamoswine's worst matchups because Mamoswine very rarely has a bad matchup in League format. I feel like this is one of them, to be honest, a little bit, because Skarmory just hard walls. Karan Black can take any hit and Flash Cannon. Florges is the more iffy one because its defense is not great. But does that get access to the grass moves? Delmise obviously can. Delmise can actually take an ice hit, I think. Like Delmise, outside of maybe Choice Band Full Adamant, can take an Ice Core Crash, which is crazy. And obviously kill with Power Whip or Anchor Shot. Crocodile is faster, like point for point. Crocodile is faster. If they're both Scarf, the Crocodile is faster and gets access to fighting coverage. Electros obviously has to then use Ice moves on Electros, and if he is Scarf Mamoswine, then Electros switches into Earthquake perfectly fine and just do whatever it likes at that point, and has access to both Flash Cannon on the special side and Aqua Tail on the physical side. Also Giga Drain as well. Like it gets plenty of specially effective moves against Mamoswine. Tentacle was also faster and has access to Scold. And then there's a Cellgore, Delphox, and Ambipom, all of which are faster than Mamoswine naturally. But Cellgore isn't the most useful in this situation. It does get Focus Blast. Delphox doesn't get Focus Blast, but Delphox is probably like the least well matched against Mamoswine. And then there's Ambipom, which also gets access to fighting coverage. So I feel like this isn't Mamoswine's best week, but Mamoswine is always a threat, so it could come. And then there's Zapdos as well, which could come from the Karan Black, which might come from the Skarmory more than anything. But I feel like Zapdos would have to be more offensive if it does come. So I feel like it's going to be two of those last three, Necrozma, Mamoswine or Zapdos. Two of those last three I think are going to be the situation. So with that in mind, Shroom has a situation where it's like, you need 7 mons for my team but can only bring 6. I feel in terms of dealing with Shroom's team, I feel exactly the same way. I feel like I need to bring 7 mons to deal with Shroom's team effectively. And one of those mons has to give way, and there's going to be a hole in my sort of plan this week, which is going to be a bit of a problem. Hopefully we can work with that. So that being said, moving on to my team. My team will start with... Sorry, my team starts with Skarmory, but my tab's just phased out, which is great. Professional. Anyway, my team starts with Skarmory, as I just said there. Skarmory is leftovers sturdy, of course. Fully physically defensive because that's how best to deal with Terrakion and Mamoswine. Iron Head is super effective against both of those guys. Stealth Rock Roost and Tailwind, the emergency Tailwind just in case. So toyed between Tailwind on this. Obviously Whirlwind again, or I can't remember what the other move I sort of toyed with there. Toyed with Hidden Power Ground as well, again for Slazzle purposes, but or Rock Slide. Rock Slide may have been just enough as well for that situation, but toyed with Rock Slide as well. But Iron Head, Stealth Rock Roost, Tailwind is the situation, fully physically defensive, basically Skarmory.png. Anyone who uses JPEG is a silly person in this day and age, but basically just the most box standard Skarmory you can ever think of is coming. But there is a Tailwind on there. Tailwind on there is basically the only non-box standard Skarmory thing here. So, but yeah, Tailwind on Skarmory. Otherwise, completely box standard Iron Head, Stealth Rock Roost. Nothing really more to say than that. It doesn't get two-shot by Terrakion. It doesn't get, unless it's like Banded Terrakion, I don't think it can two-shot me. So if he's any other variant than Banded, and if he's Banded, then I have an appropriate counter. So if he gets bans himself into fighting moves, Delmise exists. If he bans himself into rock moves, Crocodile exists. So that's kind of a thing. Spoilers, I'm bringing both of those too. So I don't think he would bring Band for that reason. And also if he's Banded and I'm Scarf Crocodile or Scarf Karam, then I have Speed, of course, as well. So I don't think Band would come. If he does Choice, it'll be Choice Scarf. But for exactly the same reasons, if he is Choice Scarf, then I wall him with Skarmory because he does less than 50% with both stab moves, and I have 2 switch-ins appropriate, and I have an appropriate switch-in to deal with it later on. However, this is the point where I get to reveal the mon which isn't coming this week, because the one that isn't coming this week is Karan Black. Karan Black is not coming. I did originally have a sort of Toxic Roost Earth Power Ice Beam set on Karan this week to deal with Necrozma as best it can, so just Toxic and then just Roost all it out. Because Necrozma really couldn't do as much. Like Necrozma really couldn't do enough damage to Karan Black, I don't think. unless it's set up on me. So Toxic Roost, Earth Power, Ice Beam was all I felt I needed, because Ice Beam hit everything basically super effective that Earth Power didn't. Sorry, Earth Power hit everything. The combination of Earth Power and Ice Beam basically hit everything. Super effective or neutral, so I felt that's all I needed. So that was what the plan for that, but I had to give way to another mon later on because I felt like I needed more for a certain mon, and when I get to that mon I'll talk more about that, but I felt like I needed something because I felt like I didn't have enough for a certain mon of Shrooms team, so Current Black was the one to give way. I had to like really assess my team. I spent actually an entire shift of work thinking through this. I literally wrote down both teams on a piece of till roll and just brainstormed which mon had to give way. And that Current Black was one that had to give way. Florges, therefore, is the next mon. Heal Bell, Moonblast, Wish, Hidden Power, Ground, that is. Just had to, it says obviously dark on the team builder because I had to deal with bottle capping stats rather, because Showdown still doesn't accept bottle capping for some reason in the planning stages. But yeah, Heal Bell, Moonblast, Wish, Hidden Power, Ground, 204 HP, 60 speed, 236 special attack, and then 4 in each defense. Now that 60 speed I believe is for the base 80 speed Mandibuzz, so I can outspeed that. And then there's the Hidden Power Ground for the Salazzle, because Salazzle, unless it's like choice specs, does not kill Florges with this, even with this spread, even with like no special defensive investment. Oh, I forgot to mention I am still a calm nature though. I still have a plus Spadef nature, and that's just enough for me to withstand a Sludge Wave. Like a Life Orb Sludge Wave does not kill Florges with just a Spadef nature from full. So if I am anywhere near full health, I can survive a Sludge Wave and kill Salazzle with Hidden Power Ground, should I feel the need to. Because I do have a mon later on which just handles Salazzle all day long. But should it come to that situation, Florges does have the ace in the hole for Salazzle just in case. Heal Bell, because Salazzle can toxic everything. Moonblast, and then Wish to keep the rest of my team healthy, because Florges is not the key here this week. I need to keep everything else healthy. I need to keep my checks healthy. I need to keep Skarmory healthy for Terrakion and Mammoth. I need to keep my next one healthy for Zapdos and Vaporeon purposes. And my next one is Delmise. Yeah, there's nothing else to say about Florges, I don't think. So yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, no, there was one more thing to say with Florges. 236 special attack is enough for two-shotting Mandibuzz with Moonblast. That's why it's 236, by the way, not 252, because I could shave a little bit off and it did not affect the rolls at all. So 236 was the minimum it was. The minimum it was would be 50% to Mandibuzz, or after leftovers. I think basically that was it. That spread gives me two shot after leftovers, I think, or whatever. But basically, the difference between 236 and 252 on Mandibuzz was nothing. So that's why I've done that. So I could go down to 236 and just shave a little bit more into HP. And there we are. So Delmise, again, properly now. Delmise is Assault Vest, Power Whip, Anchor Shot, Rock Slide, and Earthquake. So yeah, that Assault Vest means I absolutely 100% wall any form of Zapdos with this. And Vaporeon does Diddly Squat as well, even if it has Ice Beam. But Power Whip, obviously just... Power Whip annihilates Vaporeon, I think. I remember seeing... I can't remember if it was physically or specially defensive. I remember seeing the count for 98% minimum. But either way... I remember there was a calc for 98% minimum with Power Whip in this situation, so I can't remember what the Vaporeon spread was now, but basically I just kill Vaporeon with Power Whip. Anchor Shot does hit that Mamoswine as well, should I want to, or just trap something in. It's like, doof, I've got you now. And then there's Rock Slide for the Zapdos, because otherwise I have nothing to hit Zapdos super effectively with this spread. Set moves. And then there's the Earthquake, of course, for the Salazzle. Now, being Assault Vest means I can take the Fire Blast, and again, Earthquake. Assault Vest also means I can take Vaporeon, Zapdos on very well. It means I can take on especially offensive Newcrustle very well as well. If he does bring Newcrustle, I'm thinking he'd be more Psyshock. He'll either be Psyshock or physical, I think, if he does bring Newcrustle anyway, because of Tentacle existing, because Tentacle obviously takes the Psychic a lot better than it takes the Psyshock. Because of its 65, 120 special Spadef or whatever it is situation. Same with Florges, of course. Florges has way more Spadef than defense as well, so I think he will be either Psyshock or physically offensive Cosmos should he bring it. But either way, anyway, if he is specially offensive, Necrozma, then obviously the Assault Vest deals with that a little bit better. But 252 attack, 252 HP, a lot more, very, very much more standard Delmise than the previous set I just talked about. So yeah, that's Delmise. Not nothing really more fancy about that. I do basically kill most things with Power Whip, or Anchor Shot, or Rock Slide, or Earthquake. I obviously don't kill Zapdos or Mandibuzz with Rock Slide, by the way. So, but that is just because I didn't really have anything else for them, as it were. So Rock Slide is on there for that purpose. And we can move on to Crocodile. Now, Crocodile is knockoff Earthquake, Bulk Up, and Stone Edge. Bulk Up with that Fightinium Z. The plan is to be Moxie. Fightinium Z, Bulk Up, because I want to bluff the Scarf. I want to be able to bluff the Scarf for Crocodile, make him think I'm Scarfed if he is not Scarfed like Terrakion as well. I want him to think I'm Scarfed and fear this, so he doesn't worry. I want him basically to hesitate bringing in Terrakion on Crocodile as long as possible. But HP, attack 252, 4 in each defense because I had 8 left over, and then 244 in speed. 244 prevents that Goose getting loose, basically, because Zangoose has 90 base speed. Crocodile is 92, 244 Jolly prevents Zangoose from outspeeding this no matter what. But yeah, knockoff Earthquake, Bulk Up, Stone Edge, and yeah, that's basically it. Knockoff and Earthquake is basically most of what I need. Then Stone Edge, of course, for the Mandibuzz more than anything, because Zapdos doesn't take the knockoff too well once I get set up with Z Bulk Up, but Mandibuzz still obviously walls Earthquake and knockoff, so I do need the Stone Edge from the Mandibuzz more than anything else. But if I can get the Bulk Up, and basically my plan is to get rid of if I can get rid of Terrakion and then I get my Bulk Up, I basically just win. So if I can get rid of Terrakion and then get my Bulk Up, then I'm fine and dandy, because this is how dodgy Necrozma is. +2 knockoff allows me to 2-hit KO Necrozma if it's physically defensive. If it's physically defensive Necrozma, then I need to get to +2 whilst it still has an item to kill it with knockoff. To which I think actually at that point Earthquake 2-shots as well. I think it was about 55 minimum at that point, or around 55. I think even like a +2, but I need to get to +2 for that to happen. Which is crazy. So yeah, Bulk Up gets me to +2, and then if I kill something, if I kill a Necrozma, then I get to +3 with Moxie, you know. So, and then nothing kills me at that point. So basically the plan is to set up on Necrozma, or Mandibuzz, or Zapdos, or that's it. That's basically it. Or if he feels like Marwell's in range of dying to an Earthquake and wants to save, and I feel like he wants to save Marwell, then I can Bulk Up on that. Well, I can just Z Bulk Up on Marwell anyway, because if I Bulk Up on Marwell, then I've got +1 defense and I can take any one hit from Marwell anyway. So there is that situation. But if Terrakion is still alive, I can't really do that, because even at +1 defense, Terrakion still kills me. Terrakion still does like 94%, 95%. Even if it's just Choice Scarf Jolly, I think. Terrakion still does 95% minimum with close combat at +1 defense, which is stupid. But if I can get 2 Bulk Ups up, I'm fine. If I can get 2 Bulk Ups, if I can get a second Bulk Up, then that's fine as well. But I have to get rid of Terrakion before I can think about setting up with Crocodile, basically. And then we can move on to Electros, which is Expert Belt, U-Turn, Super Fang, Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon. Expert Belt basically just guarantees the kill on Mamoswine if it doesn't have any investment. Basically. My sort of plan with Electros is a little sort of slightly buff for the fact that I'm a more defensive Electros with Super Fang. Or bluff for the fact that I am offensive with like Thunderbolt and Flash Cannon, and then surprise him with the Super Fang. Either way, I have sort of a half and half Electros this week, half sort of defensively minded and half physically minded Electros, with the Super Fang, U-Turn, Thunderbolt, and Flash Cannon combination. Flash Cannon basically prevents that Mamoswine from just being able to do whatever it likes to me, or doing whatever it likes around me, and then Thunderbolt hits everything else. So, hard-ish. Then Super Fang allows me to do 50% to the Necrozma, which puts it in range of other mons. Super Fang allows me to do 50% to Zapdos, Mandibuzz, things that are otherwise, fairly bulky, and then I can obviously Not that Mandibuzz would ever come in on Electros, of course, because Thunderbolt, but allows me to do 50% to Mamoswine. So if Mamoswine has HP investment or any kind of bulky Mamoswine, if I get the Super Fang, if I get the Super Fang off on the switch, then the Flash Cannon will kill guaranteed, because it does 95% minimum if it has no HP investment or special defense investment. So it's just like basically no investment. It does 95% minimum to the Mamoswine. So if it has HP and SPDF investment, then that 94% becomes a lot lower. So if I get that Super Fang off, it guarantees the Flash Cannon kill basically, no matter what. Yeah, and it just deals with some of his more bulky threats. So basically that allows him to not switch anything in for free in the Super Fang. And then the Thunderbolt obviously hits the reason. By the way, Electros is the mon that I had to give way current. Electros was the one that Karen Black gave way to, by the way, because Vaporeon was the problem. Because whilst I had Karen Black on the team, Delmice was literally the only thing that could deal with Vaporeon at that point. Because I couldn't squeeze Fusion Ball onto my Karen Black set without sacrificing its ability to take on Necrozma. And that was the whole reason it kind of existed the way it existed, because otherwise it didn't really do a great deal, in my opinion, against this team. So Electros is what I was trying to fit onto my team, because I needed something else for the Vaporeon, because otherwise Vaporeon just deals with me. Especially if it's like if it's physically defensive Vaporeon, then Electros with Thunderbolt, fine. If it's specially defensive if it's specially defensive, then Delmice goes straight through it. So that's what I needed to deal with. I needed to deal with either form of Vaporeon. But if it's even if it's fully specially defensive, Modest 252 Thunderbolt still 2 shots. Still 2 shots Vaporeon, so that's fine. That's why I'm Modest 252. I have 124 speed to outspeed that. I think I actually ended up going. Let me just double check. Can't remember if I ended up going. I can't remember if a 124 speed there actually puts me 2 points ahead of Vaporeon, in case you wanted to cancel any speed creepers or not. But I think I can't remember if I ended up going 2 or 3, like 1 or 3 points ahead of Vaporeon's 0 speed with that. And then the rest goes into HP, of course. But that's Electros. Also allows me a bit of slow U-turn and slow momentum getting as well. That which is always handy in certain situations, especially against that thing like the Necrozma. If I can Super Fang, then the slow U-turn off as it probably moonlights or whatever, then I can get into Crocodile for free. And then there is Tentacruel as my last mon this week. I did plan, like the tentacle I was hoping to bring was to help my Crocodile with Reflect, but I found out that Reflect was only a Gen 1 move, and obviously you can't do the Gen 1 move with any egg moves from Gen 6 or 7, so that's where the problem came in, because Rapid Spin is an egg move on Tentacle. So Scald, Magic Coat, Toxic, Rapid Spin. I really wanted to be Light Clay Reflect, because my plan was to get Light Clay Reflect up and then go into Crocodile and set up a bulk up. That way Tracheon isn't a problem. But as it is, now I have to make sure I get rid of Tracheon before I set up a Crocodile. If I had the Reflect on Tentacle, then I could have set up whilst Tracheon still existed, because it would have only done 50% to Crocodile, which would have been okay. But Scald, Magico, Toxic, Rapid Spin to get rid of any hazards. He wants to set up Toxic. I toyed between Toxic and Toxic Spikes as well. That was the thing I toyed with, because Tentacle is my premier switch into Slazzle, because Slazzle only does about 30% with a Fire Blast, which is absurd. That's Lightfall Fire Blast as well, by the way. It only does about 30% with that. When Black Sludge recovers a bit of that back straight off. Anyway, so I was planning to maybe set up Toxic Spikes on the Slazzle, because it would then have to switch out. But I figured the mons that would switch into Tentacle would then not get Toxic straight away, and then you could just you could just absorb the Toxic Spikes later on with Slazzle anyway. So I felt it was much more reliable just to have normal Toxic on Tentacle, because then whatever switches in, i.e. Necrozma, Vaporeon, Mandibuzz, whatever, so the more bulky things, because Tracheon and Mamoswine aren't switching in. Zapdos as well, of course. Zapdos as well could be a very fast switch-in. But the things that would switch in on the Tentacle are his bulky options, and therefore getting the straight Toxic off on any of those would be beneficial. Magic Coat is because Necrozma does 50% regardless. Necrozma does 50% to Tentacle regardless. So Psychic or Psyshock with my I'm fully physically defensive for Terrakion purposes more than anything. Because I don't need SPDF investment to just hard wall Slazzle, so fully physically defensive prevents Terrakion just from killing with like Rock Slide or Stone Edge, whatever. And allows me to handily take a Scarf close combat nicely. But if I'm fully physically defensive, then Psyshock does about the same as a Psychic would as well. So if you use Psyshock, then that allows that to do about 55% to Tentacle. And the amount of HP that is, doubled, magic coated back at the Necrozma, kills a max HP Necrozma. So if he does bring Necrozma and he does bring it in against Tentacle, I am 100% clicking Magic Coat and killing it. So there is that problem. And then there's a Scold, of course, to get burns and damage off and other things. So yeah, because Scold is my best move there rather than poison moves. Because otherwise, if I had a poison move, then Marwal, if he did bring it, would 100% wall this Tentacle. Whilst Tentacle also 100% walls the Marwal, so because Dual Stab doesn't really do anything to me either. But yeah, that's my team. That's the team that's hopefully going to pick up a nice big win this week. The expensive Shroom. This has been a long team builder. There's a lot to talk about this team build. I do apologise for the length of this one, but that's it for me. I will join you for the battle tomorrow. Do check that out. But for now, I've been amazing too. You've been amazing too. See you for the battle tomorrow. Ta-ra.